Going live in one. Going live in 30 seconds. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think we're live. Hope you had a little trouble with my mic yesterday. And Mike, I hope you're doing okay. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. Having trouble with my other desktop computer. I don't know. Hope it doesn't have a bug. But all right. Okay. It's a beautiful day out. It's a nice full day, sunny, air is crisp. And we're ready for another session of Real Estate with Mr. G. So it's time for okay. Well, looks like we're alive and running. I sent out an email, well, not an email, but I did a live stream during the week. And in the future, I'm going to do more smaller live stream. This show, I like to keep about a half hour. But I had to repeat a show last Saturday. I woke up Saturday morning where I'm getting hundreds of emails from across the globe that I've opened up these accounts. And what they weren't credit card accounts, but they were accounts like you might do with Clark Shoes, and that you want to receive their emails. And it was all over the world, and from Germany, from France, from, I believe it was Russia. And so I said, all right, let me check my bank account. And I went into my bank account and I saw someone had bought a large screen TV. And not only did they buy a large screen TV, they made sure that if that TV wasn't in stock, that there was a duplicate. So it was double charged. All right. And they bought it online from Walmart, and they had it delivered to Norfolk, or to be picked up in Norfolk. So I immediately, canceled my ATM cards. And when I saw the the charge, I also called the police. I first called the Norfolk police because it was going to be picked up at a Norfolk Walmart, and and they said that okay, my sound is good. All right, and they said no, you have to call from the city that you're in. So I called in Hampton, gave them the information. But while I was on with the detective, I got an email from Walmart that the TV was ready to be picked up between 11 and 12. And it wasn't my name, it was somebody else's. I don't want to say the name because it's a very common name that was used to pick it up. But I called the phone number on that email, and we were able to cancel that purchase, and I was refunded immediately. It didn't take like 5 or 6 days for SunTrust Bank to examine if it was definitely fraudulent. So it was canceled, and they canceled my Walmart account I had with them. Now, how I think this happened, and I wanted this message to go out to everybody because I received, every time I logged into one of the accounts, accounts that I use for business too, where I'm using, video software, where I'm sending out newsletters, and it said, check your passwords. And evidently, there was a group of passwords, and for me, it was about 157 that were breached. And I got that warning maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I said, all right, I'll get to it. I'll change. I changed some passwords, but not all of them. And evidently, Walmart was one of the accounts that was breached. He was able to go in there. I had my debit card with SunTrust on file, and he was able to purchase a TV. So bottom line, just a fast little message to everybody out there is that take that warning very seriously. If there was some sort of breach with your email, and most of us use our email to create an account, take that seriously, change it. I've changed the ones that would have a credit card or debit card on file. So I've changed those. I still have more to change, but some of them are like accounts or information that I asked for years ago. And eventually I'll change everything. Some of them even aren't in existence anymore. But definitely change the ones first that may have some information on your credit card or debit card or your financial information. Change that first. Very important that you do that. Okay. And also get hooked up with a good ID protection program, one of them, these credit monitoring programs that you could also add different things on it, like email accounts and social media. It's a very good idea to do that as well. This way you have protection on both sides. We are in this mode right now, and I don't even think it's a mode. I think this is the way we are shopping now, and this was actually developing even before COVID-19. We order a lot online, right? I mean, who would think years ago that we would order, burgers to be picked up by McDonald's by a guy who delivers it to us? I remember the very first time I brought my father through a drive-through at McDonald's. He never did it before. He was amazed that you could drive up and to a window, order food, okay? And actually, when that happened, when we started getting drive-thrus, I said, well, how lazy can you be that you don't even get out of your car? You won't even walk into the restaurant, okay? Now we don't even go to the drive-up. We have it picked up by somebody else, and we don't leave the house. So we're constantly online using our debit or credit card information to do these activities, buying products or services. So this is going to become more and more of a problem from hackers because it's just the volume of people using their credit and debit cards online is outrageous. I don't mean outrageous in a bad way, but it's just the volume is unbelievable. So just my tip for the day, outside of real estate, it does affect real estate, because if you mess up your credit, if someone takes out a loan or a credit card in your name, it could maybe hurt your credit if they buy a lot of things, and then all of a sudden you get these bills. So be aware of that. If you're asked to change your passwords, and hook up with a good ID protection program. Okay? All right. Well, anyway, let's start our today's show. Why pricing your home right matters this fall. And that's the discussion we will have today. And let me just say hello to my producer, and how are things going. And by the way, did you watch the debates?
Chris. No, I didn't see the debates. Back in my old country, debates did not matter. The opponent or leader would either get very sick or accidentally fall out of a high-rise building. But thanks for asking anyway.
Okay, well, all right. Thank you, Leonard, and I hope everything is well, and I hope you're feeling well. And let's see what we're going to discuss today on Real Estate with Mr. G. And you can miss out on potential buyers. Let me see. I think I still have that graphic. Let me put that up over here. All right, let's take off this here. All right. So this is very important. And by the way, I know the title said why it matters this fall. It matters all the time about pricing your house correctly. And I could do a whole 30 minutes talking about finding the right price. In the real estate industry, we call it doing a CMA, or a comparative market analysis. And what we do is we usually take about a mile radius around your house. And based upon the characteristics of your house, let's say it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, about 1,500 square feet. And there could be other things we could add to it. It has a garage, not a garage. It has a pool. There were other features we could add in the search to compare. And then we will see within the last 180 days what's active in the market with houses that are similar to yours, what's pending, what's sold, and see what that price range yields. Okay? And of course, what's more important is the pending and sold, because the pending is that the buyer and the seller have agreed to the price. The sold, it definitely is closed, and now that house will be part of an appraiser's search when your house that you're thinking about listing goes on the market. All right, so that's most important. But then it gets a little bit more tricky, because you actually have to look at the photos of the houses that you're using in that comparison, because some may have very, very lovely upgrades, and this will increase the house value. All right. If a house down the road that's very similar to yours sold for $2,000, I'm sorry, for $200,000, but they have beautiful, beautiful upgrades and recent upgrades to the kitchen, to the bath, to the flooring, but you haven't done that in 10 years. You can't price your house for that same amount. All right. So it gets very, very intricate. And it's, most of the times, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I've got the price correct. Um, but sometimes it gets a little bit more tricky where I had one where I did price a little bit too high one time. Okay. We end up selling the house, but the you see the appraiser also looks at the neighborhoods, and in your direct neighborhood, if the most if it's a 3 bedroom 2 baths, the one that's been most updated sold for 210, um, and you want you did a a comp, or you looked at you looked for comps that were in the mall radius but was out of that direct neighborhood, and maybe some went to 220, 240. Let me see, I'm not in this. Let's see if I can get me into here. How about, hold on. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Okay, hold on. That's not it. Okay, hold on. I'm seeing my other thing up here. All right, I don't know. Not so sure if you're seeing me. Why isn't this not switching? Let me get this off of here. Hold on for a second. Okay. Okay. I still got this up here. Now let me see something here. Let me go back to here. Okay. I gotta stop. Okay, okay. I think this, okay, no. This should do it. Okay, here I am. Okay. It's still a little tricky doing these live streams with all the things you do. Okay. But I'm back. But anyway, so even if it's in the mall radius and you found one that sold for 220, but the highest in your neighborhood was 210 with all the upgrades, and the appraiser takes that into account as well. So pricing the house correctly, it's not an easy thing. I know a lot of agents that shoot out CMAs, and that's just to get your attention. But when it comes time to listing, you really have to look at it closely. It's a science in a sense. If you are in a development with many like houses, like you go up to York County and you have these beautiful developments, and most of the houses were built at the same time, and they're very similar. I mean, some are going to have 4 bedroom, 3, but there'll be a lot of 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths in that development, and doing a CMA there is a lot easier. But when you're in a city area and you're not in a development that most of the houses were built at the same time and they're very different, it gets more difficult. So pricing it correctly is the tough thing. And one thing too I want to mention, because a lot of my clients will look at the Zillow estimate, and they say, "Oh, Zillow has it for 240," and you can't go by Zillow. You could use it as a gauge, but pricing the house is very subjective. It's not objective. They're just drawing in all the numbers and goes into algorithm, and they're also taking in foreclosures. They're taking in short sales. So that actually would lower the price, but they're taking again in houses that maybe are in a mile radius, but they had these fantastic upgrades to the house, and it really doesn't meet with yours, because of what they've done. And I'm not putting it in a negative way, whatever. So it might give you a really large amount for your house. So look at this estimate and use it as a gauge, but it's not, stoned in fact. Okay, you have to realize that as well. So so let's bring this back up here. Okay, get that already. Let's get the graphic up here. All right. So what happens if the house is priced too high? It will sit on the market, and even at this time now, where I'm telling you we need listings, and we are getting houses in contract within 24 to 48 hours, and many times there are multiple offers, all right? But the key word is that it has to be priced right, okay? And your consumer now, or your buyers now, they're very well informed. They have all these resource sites to find out what is the true value of a house. They might use Zestimate. Like I said, at times it's incorrect. It's not exactly right. But you have really an informed buyer. So if you overprice that house, even people who are just searching the different real estate sites, whether it's Zillow or Realtor.com or Trulia, they will know that that price is a little bit too high. They're very well informed right now when it comes to prices. There are other things that buyers, unless you've been in the real estate industry for a long time and you've dealt with all the things that could happen during the process, and when you become an experienced real estate agent, you know how to go with the blows and go back and forth. But when it comes to price, a lot of people have an idea what the price should be and if it's a little bit too high or not. All right. So if it's too high, then it sits on the market. Then all of a sudden you drop it. And what happens to the buyer who's out there, who's looking, they say, well, now they dropped the price. What's wrong with this house? Did they really overprice it? Is it really not worth this value? And especially if you have, another drop maybe 2 weeks later, then it becomes like a stigmatized house, and what's wrong with that? So now you're losing a lot of potential buyers who might say, okay, I'm going to step away from this house because they priced it much too high. Doesn't mean it won't be sold, but now you're cutting down that pool of people who would actually look at it. And then the biggest situation here, when it comes to pricing it too high, they can miss out on potential buyers when priced too high. So in other words, if your house really should be $200,000, okay, and you might actually do it at $199 or whatever, but let's say $200,000, the people who are in, well, I shouldn't say in that market, but who have been what's the word? Pre-approved, all right, for 200,000. When they do their search, and whether if their real estate agent sets it up or they set it up themselves, that I'm going to look up for houses up to $200,000. If you're over that mark, and your house shouldn't really be over 200,000, you're missing out on all these potential buyers who set that bar there for looking for homes. All right, so if you got over 200,000 and really your house is worth 200,000, and you have buyers out there in that group who are looking, for a $200,000 house, you're missing out on all of them. Okay, if you have it at 220, many people will say, okay, I'll go from from 200 to 250. All right, so they're out there looking at how your house come up, and then they say, well, I saw this other house, down the block. I'm from the city, I say block, down the road that, it's the same size, but wow, they really upgraded the house. Okay. They're not going to go see yours. But the ones who set it up to 200,000, you would have a lot more people coming to see it. All right. So pricing it is very important, and not to go overboard. Even with today's market, where we need listings, we don't have that many listings, but people will pass it up. They're not going to spend extra money. And the thing is, if your house is worth 200,000, and even if you go and you get into contract for 220, that house still has to appraise for $200,000. And it's very unlikely that the buyer, even though it's a seller's market, is going to come up with an extra $20,000 to supplement that mortgage. All right. So do it the right way from the beginning. Is bring up some text, and let's get this going over here, and I'm going to share that, and then I have to come back to here. Now, okay, we could use it as a split screen, but it might be, let's do it this way, where I'm the little person here. Okay. So why pricing your home matters this fall? Okay. And again, this matters all the time. They are just bringing up that because it is a seller's market and we need listings, it's still important to price it correctly. So let's stream down from here. So basically what we talked about, when it's over, we talked about all the different items or what could go wrong if it's over. I think my graphic here got cut off to the right, but if it's under, you have lost value to it. That's if you bring it down too low. Most people want to price their house higher, but bringing it too low, you have lost value, decreased buying power, and deters potential buyers because they think something is wrong. But that also happens when you have it priced too high, and then all of a sudden you begin to decrease and decrease and decrease it. And buyers are going to say, what's wrong with this house? Why is it going so low? As a seller today, you may think pricing your home on the high end will result in a higher final sale price, but the opposite is actually true. To sell your home quickly and for the best possible price, you should eliminate buyer concerns by pricing your home competitively right from the start. Let's connect to that. Well, that's for me. And that's why you need a professional with 25 years plus experience in the real estate market in 2 states. All right. Then they bring in home equity, gives seller options to today's market because of the higher, with home prices going up, you will actually have more equity in your home. So if you're thinking of moving into a larger home, okay, and when you actually sell your house, you will actually have yourself more buying power because of that increased home equity. Let's look at this third point here. U.S. homeowners with mortgages, roughly 60% of all properties, have seen their equity increase by a total of $620 billion since the second quarter of 2019, an increase of 6.6% year over year. And they attribute it to rising home prices, because home prices have gone up. And actually, if we look at the map of the United States, you would see that the average home price In Virginia, it has gone up about 14,000. That's pretty good. So if you were thinking about selling your house to move to a larger one, right now would be a good time to put your house on the market. And here, by the way, if you go to my blog site, this article is on there. And just to, for a minute right now, to advertise my blog. My blog is updated at least 5 times a week. It's updated Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with very helpful information on the real estate market. There will be videos. There'll be some personal things. I like to also cover, what's happening in the Hampton Roads area, mostly on the peninsula, because that's where I am. New shows, new restaurants. We, of course, because of COVID-19, that section of my blog has been a little quiet because many shows have been canceled, and so I really can't talk about that right now. Because, like I said, shows have been canceled. There's no really new performances. We're hoping, and which I talked about 2 weeks ago, and actually was repeated last Saturday, the American Theater in downtown Phoebus, it has a very progressive and fantastic 2021 season. And I'm just praying that it could still be in effect, that they will still be able to do it. So once we hopefully get out of more of the COVID-19 restrictions, I could add more to my blog site on that. So if you go to my blog, you will see these articles that I talk about during my live stream, and you could go into more in-depth, read it in detail. Many times there will be references to the sites they got the information from. So you could follow it there. So please go to my blog. It'd be really nice if you sign up for it. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe to it. One thing I want to do before we end today, and it goes in, it basically compensates or balances off what we talked about, where sellers have equity in their homes because of home rising prices. On the buyer side, there's a video that came out today, this week. It's on my blog as well, where it talks about how purchasing a home multiplies the buyer's self-worth like about 40 times. So I like to show that now. It's only about a minute, 40 seconds. Okay. That was my nice little video for today. So just to recap, um, we need listings. Please contact me if you're thinking about selling your home. Okay. And I will do my best to price that perfectly for you. Okay. And for people who want to purchase, it's a great time to purchase because of the very low interest rates. Take advantage of that. Build up your self worth, as in the film we just saw. Um, so contact me as well for that. And we're about to end up the show. Um, let's see. Hold on for a second. Okay. So I'm hearing from my producer, Leonard Patapkin, that we might have somebody famous in the audience.
Chris. Great news. We have a famous celebrity in the audience. He was the lead character of a children's puppet show on Italian television in the early 1960s. The character, created in 1958 by artist Maria Perego, debuted on Italian television in 1959 and has been customarily voiced by actor Giuseppe Peppino Mazzulla and later David Garbolino. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Topo Gigio.
Wow, that was amazing. I haven't seen Topo for 40, 50 years. He's looking great. And Leonard, thanks for pointing him out. So that's all for today's show. We'll see you next week, Saturdays, 10 a.m. With Real Estate with Mr. G. And we'll have new issues to talk about during the week. Be well, be safe, be kind to each other, wear your mask, and keep your social distance. Thanks so much.